All right, so we can get started. Thanks everybody for joining. We are so glad to have you on. Sorry, and there's like a weird thing. Okay. All right. We will introduce ourselves quickly and then we'll get started with the presentation. We are hoping to have some students from this past summer join us around 4:30 so you can hear from them and ask them your student-to-student questions. To get started, my name is Jessica Fettridge. I'm a Senior Associate Director in the Global Learning Office, and I manage the Spanish Language and Culture in Barcelona program.
Elisa Baena, Professor of Instruction in the Department of Spanish and Portuguese, and I do everything else, do the academics, and I go to Barcelona with the students.
That's it. All right. So, to get started, to apply for the program, you need to have at least a GPA of at least 2.5. You have to have completed 1 year of college level Spanish or the equivalent. What that means is if you've taken Spanish in high school and took an AP test and got either a 4 or a 5, you already meet that requirement. If you're a heritage speaker, you also meet that requirement. Oh my goodness, sorry. So those are just the baseline eligibility requirements for the program. As part of the application, you will submit it through our system called the Global Gateway. I can show you all that at the end. You will select the Barcelona Summer Program for Summer 23 as your program. It will walk you through various steps, program plans. You'll have to upload a transcript. You will write a personal statement indicating your interest in the program, both academically and personally. This year, we're doing something a little bit new. Previously, we had you interview with both of us, but instead we will have you submit a video response answering a couple of questions. You will need support from your school advisor. They'll sign off on your application. Your application is not considered complete until you have that signature. And then you will also have to provide a valid passport or proof of application by the time you submit your application. This is really important. So if you do not already have a passport or your passport is expiring sometime within the next year, please go apply for or renew your passport right after you leave the session. All of that is due on February 10th.
Okay. Language requirements, as Jessica mentioned, you need 1 year of college level Spanish. So on top of everything that she mentioned, you can be in 101 right now, and by the end of the spring, you'll be able to attend. That will meet the requirement. The same for 115 or 125. And we recommend that you take a class in Spanish. So if you are not in a class right now, we recommend to make a better use of the program if you take a class this year. So there's still time. The next slide is a picture of the university where all the classes take place. It's called Universitat Pompeu Fabra. It's a university in Barcelona. There are many universities. This is one of them. And all the classes would take place there. And it's very close to our housing. It's like 8 to 10 minutes walking distance. To continue with academics, you will take 3 classes for a total of 3 credits. And the classes are just Monday through Thursday, from 10 to 4 with breaks in between. The classes would be a grammar and a conversation class, depending on your Spanish level, depending if you have taken 1 year or 2 years or beyond in Spanish. And then we have 2 culture classes, one open for intermediate students. That means those who have taken 1st or 2nd year Spanish, and then an advanced class for those who are beyond 121 or 125. Both classes and all the classes are in Spanish. Regarding the credits at Northwestern, there's 2 scenarios. If you haven't finished the language requirement, If you have done only 1 year of Spanish, either 101 or 115, you can take 125, which is the last class of the language requirement, if you meet these 5, whatever, I can't think of the word, that are here. You need to receive an A in all your classes, miss only 1 class, go to all the cultural visits and excursions, improve in the post-placement that we'll have at the end of the program. The same with at the beginning, but at the end. And you have to do an oral interview with me. Only if those 5 requirements are met, you can skip the first 2 quarters of the second year of Spanish if you haven't finished the language requirement. If you have taken 201 or above, then those are the courses that you will take. For students in 201 or above, you'll take Spanish 301 or 302, culture 215, and conversation will be called 202. For the students that are below 201, the courses are called 190, 199, and 191. They are all essay courses and they are all Northwestern courses, which means the grades you receive will appear on your transcript. The next, we're gonna share with you the information about the housing. We live in a dorm called RESA Campus del Mar, and as you can imagine, if you know a little bit of Spanish, mar means ocean, so that beyond those trees is the ocean. As I said before, it's 10 minutes walking from or to the university, and there's a park right in front, but the main attraction is how close it is to the beach. The dorm has some amenities like a gym and some, TV lounge, laundry, study rooms, and the rooms would be, most of them, single rooms for 20 students and 10 students and 10 students would be in double rooms. And each room has a kitchen and a bathroom. It doesn't matter if it's single or double, so that's very cool. You can cook and save some money. The next is, well, the neighborhood. Like I said, the beach is right there. It's really pretty, it's huge. And we live very close to a neighborhood that I love so much that is called The Born, that is very old and full of flavor. And that is just a picture of 2 very important buildings in Barcelona, if you get lost, and then a picture of The Born. Then there is another neighborhood that is nearby, actually, where the university is more or less, and it's called Poble Nou. That is the next slide. That is a very cool neighborhood that is changing a lot and is full of cafes and super cool buildings and markets, and that Torre Akbar that is kind of weird looking, but it's also like an important landmark in Barcelona. So we are in around very cool neighborhoods, like the coolest in the city, of course. When you are not in class, we will have some activities 1 or 2 per week, most of the weeks 1 activity. And there's, as you know, there's a lot of things to do in Barcelona, like see flamenco, cooking class. We are not gonna bring you to a discoteca like that picture might indicate, but we're gonna bring you to see Sagrada Familia, and we'll do a lot of activities outside of class. Like in the next slide, there's more. There's, besides Sagrada Familia, there's some Gaudí houses that you can see there that are amazing. There's a lot of Gaudí in Barcelona. There are other museums like the Miró Museum, the Picasso Museum, just a Barcelona art museum. And then sometimes, if we're lucky, we can see that is a human tower, and that is a thing that they do in Catalonia only. And it's amazing and very scary to see, but it's very fun. And in 2019, we got those pictures, and last summer, I didn't see any. So that's very cool, and you can be lucky and see that. One day during the first week in July, we'll go to Montserrat, that is a monastery in the mountain. And we will not have class that day because it's a day-long trip. and everybody has to go, and it's very fun. And then during the weekend of July 7 to 9, we will go to Madrid in the high-speed train that is super cool and is much better and faster and quicker than taking a plane. And we will stay in a hotel called Liaveni. And in Madrid, we will go to more museums. For example, we will see the Guernica by Picasso, and then the Meninas by Velázquez in the Prado. So we'll go to the Reina Sofia for contemporary art and regular art, if you can call it that, at the Prado Museum. And then underneath to the right of the Meninas is the Picasso version, but that you have to see in Barcelona after you see the original in Madrid. So that's very cool. So Picasso Museum is always after the Prado. So if you are interested, as Jessica said, the deadline is February 10th, and those are the program dates. You need to be there on June 17th, and then the last day of the program, you need to leave on July 28th. And you have to complete the application, read student evaluations, and make sure that you have a passport. And those are some scary pictures from the past that maybe we shouldn't show. Different, yeah, lots of groups from a long time ago. Need to update those.
Those are really old.
I know they're so old. Like we could see like this Brazilian player in Barcelona. It doesn't play anymore. I forgot his name. Neymar, I think. Yeah, his first game we saw. Yeah, those are really old.
These predate me.
The good years. The good years.
Yeah.
So that's all that I have.
All right. I'll leave this up. We have probably 15 minutes until any students join us. So we can open it up for questions now about the application, about the program, about the courses. You can put them in the chat. You can just unmute and ask whatever works.
Yeah, please ask questions. Cost.
The cost, that's a great question. If you go to the program page, which I can pull up quickly. So we'll go here. This is good for me to show you. This is Global Gateway. This is the system where you will search programs and submit your application. So a good way to do that, you will go to glowapp.northwestern.edu. This is also available off of our homepage. You'll go to Explore Programs. And it was glitchy earlier, but let's hope it works. You can just search Barcelona and it will show Spanish language and culture in Barcelona program. So I'll click on that. And it will take you directly to the program brochure. This is where you're going to see a lot of helpful information. This is just some quick facts about the program. You'll get 3 units of credit. It's direct credit. It's a summer program. The language of instruction is Spanish. Here it tells you what type of program it is and that it is a competitive program. This is a highly competitive program. So as part of the application process, you will likely want to indicate a backup program in the event that you are not admitted. Just for reference, we had about 75 applications for 30 spots last year. I anticipate it will be very similar again this summer. So this is all the eligibility requirement and course requirements that we went through in the session, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. Excuse me, to the costs and funding section. Excuse me. And you'll see here, this is a cost estimate for last summer. I honestly do not anticipate the expenses changing much, if at all. And so you'll see the total estimated cost down at the bottom is $10,700. That includes your program tuition, your housing, your international health insurance. and estimated expenses like airfare, meals, books and supplies, transportation on site, and personal expenses. What that number does not include is travel outside of Barcelona. So if you plan on traveling elsewhere in Spain or throughout Europe, that would be an additional expense. What is important to know is that that total number down at the bottom, the 10,705, is what financial aid will be based on if you plan to use financial aid for the program. So you can print this. Once you start an application, a copy of that cost sheet will also show up in your application. So this is where you can find updated information. The cost for summer 23 will be up there probably by the end of the year. All right. Oh man, there's so many questions. Okay. All right. I already answered the competitive program. It's super competitive.
Right. I'm going to answer the one about the class schedule.
Yep.
You cannot choose your classes. The class selection will depend on your classes, your Spanish classes here. So you will have to take all the 3 classes, and the schedule is 10 to 4, but with 2 breaks, one 30 minutes and another one 1 hour. So
yeah, everybody has the same schedule, regardless of which class you're in.
Right.
Financial aid does cover. Sorry, financial aid does cover the cost. Like I just said, it will be based off the total cost of attendance, not just tuition. If you want a specific breakdown of your specific financial aid package, I recommend reaching out to financial aid. They can give you like real numbers. Okay, the cohort would be 30 students. Acceptance, you should hear in March. At the beginning of March? Around March 1st or 2nd. Yep. Regarding Alina's questions, if you've done the minor, that's okay if you don't take any Spanish class this year. And then the last question, Jessica, if they are accepted, and can they give up their spot? You can. So the deadline is February 10th. After that date, we will not review any applications until after the deadline. We review them all together. We will make those admissions decisions between February 10th and March 1st, and admissions decisions will go out around March 1st. It will be March 2nd or 3rd if March 1st falls on a weekend. But between March 1st and March 20th is sort of the confirmation time, right? So you have about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, to decide if you'd like to accept your spot in the program. So between March 1st and March 20th, you can decide, oh, just kidding, I don't actually want to go. If you were accepted and you decline your spot, we will then offer a spot to the next person on the wait list. So we do have a wait list for this program. It is generally very lengthy. There is no way for us to tell you whether or not you will get in off the wait list. We've had some years where we've been able to accept 10 students off the wait list, and some years where we've been able to accept 0 students off the wait list. So it really just depends on a lot. That was a long way to say that yes, you can decline your spot after you've been accepted, but once you've confirmed your spot, there are financial consequences if you withdraw after you confirm. So tips for the application process, Jessica. Truly, your admission is going to depend on a lot of different factors, but it will, your personal statement and your video responses will factor significantly into the admissions process. So really give a lot of time and thought to both of those. And we have no more questions, but I'm sure. Yeah. When do applications open? Well, we were hoping they were going to open last week and they didn't. And now I'm hopeful that they're going to open tomorrow, but we've been having some weird glitchy issues with the site today. So hopefully tomorrow, if not tomorrow, I hope it will open on Monday.
And nothing in the application would be in Spanish.
No, all in English, please.
More questions. Come on, don't be shy.
I guess I can talk a little bit about what happens after you're accepted. So if you are accepted to the program, and once everybody confirms and we have a solid cohort, there will be a number of pre-departure requirements that you have to complete in Global Gateway. We'll have about a 2-hour-long in-person pre-departure orientation towards the end of May. You'll receive a handbook, flight information, and all of that. Sorry, the application is all in English. Yeah. Yes, Morgan, you can apply to both a summer program and a fall program, with the caveat that you would very likely need to choose one or the other. It's really complicated to do consecutive programs. But yes, you can. Fall is a nice backup option. Okay, so the question is, are Spanish majors and minors prioritized? Sort of. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but we cannot accept all Spanish majors and minors, because the cohort does have to be, if not 50-50 balanced, at least not all advanced speakers. We need to have a number of students at that low intermediate level to balance the class sizes. So I would say out of the advanced speakers, if you are a major or minor, that will be prioritized, but we've got to have some of those lower level students as well. There are scholarship opportunities. So in addition to regular Northwestern financial aid, as part of the application process, there's basically everybody's considered for a scholarship. So yes, and then there are additional external scholarships as well. If anybody receives a Pell Grant as part of your financial aid at Northwestern, you're eligible for the Gilman Scholarship. We will be having some info sessions about the Gilman in January and February, so keep an eye out for those dates. You are automatically considered for GLOW scholarships, so scholarships through my office. There are other scholarships to which you can apply that have external applications. Ooh, okay, Steven's here. I'm gonna let him in.
Yeah. Steven knows the answer to all the questions.
He does.
Use him wisely.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing for now. Hey, Steven, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. We've just been waiting for you. So everybody, this is no. I told you to come at 4:30. You're actually early. So everybody, this is Steven. Steven was on the program this past summer. So if you have questions about the student experience in Barcelona, he is a great resource.
I told them, Steven, sorry, I told them that you know the answers to all their questions, because that is true. So
I don't know about that. I know a couple of answers, maybe. But no, I mean, I love Barcelona. It was a really, I don't want to say it was a transformative experience, but it seems like every other sentence that I talk with my friends, I have to restrain myself from speaking about Barcelona. And I was only there for the summer, so yep.
Yeah, do you maybe want to just like talk a little bit about your experience, maybe the classes, what you did for food, what kind of what you did in your free time, and then folks can put questions in the chat.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of thinking about like a standard day that I had, you know, we have the location of the dorm is amazing. It's really, you know, we actually looked into some other dorms and we were like, this is the best one simply because the location is 2 minutes from the beach. It's really nice, you know, amenities. The laundry works effectively, which was something that I know I was concerned about. And you know, so you kind of wake up from whatever happened the night before, and then it's a pretty long day of classes, but you know, classes are only for 4 days. So you kind of jaunt on over to the university where you take classes from 10 to 4. You know, the classes, I think for me, what I kind of took from it is, you know, you get out what you put in. So if you're really kind of present and you're really trying to improve your Spanish and you're trying to speak in Spanish, and not only speak in Spanish, but like think about how you're speaking in Spanish. So thinking about improving grammar, thinking about using different structures, you know, all those kinds of things. The classes will help you do that. But at the end of the day, you know, you get out what you put in. Um, so, you know, and then there's breaks between the classes. It's not 6 hour, yeah, 6 hours straight of classes. There's breaks. And so we would often go have lunch in the like cafeteria, and I would pack my own lunch, bring my own lunch just because it was cheaper than getting the cafeteria, but it was also, I don't know, just kind of fun. It felt like high school. Um, and that was some of my favorite times was just sitting in that hour lunch break, talking with people, having all sorts of random in-depth conversations about who knows what. And yeah, I making sure you had to arrange the chairs so yeah, you weren't in the direct sunlight. There's just so many great memories. Um, and so then after classes, generally people would like take a break. One of my favorite things to do would to go to the panaderia, which is like the little bread shop, and just I don't know, chow down on some baguettes, which you know, it seems kind of like plain, but the bread is the main thing that I miss because it's so delicious. Um, just bread, and so that was you know just a fun thing, and then probably get some work done. For me, I was a music student, and so I often practiced and kind of after classes, and then you could do all kinds of things. Um, I you know many frequently you know many times people went to the beach after class and just hung out until dinner essentially. Or if there's some event, or if we're doing some excursion, you know, there could be all different kinds of things that we're doing after classes. Um, and then kind of you get dinner whenever you get dinner. It could be 8, could be 12. So maybe not 6 as I do now. But it varies a lot. And then at night we would either go out or stay in or, you know, watch the Maze Runner 1 and then half of 2 because we were all so tired. You know, it's just hanging out. And I really enjoyed it. There's so many just memories I have. And I'm happy to answer any questions too about the student experience. Homework. That's a really great question. I mean, that's something that I was curious about. Um, what I was told was that there's no homework. You can get it all done in between classes, et cetera, et cetera. And unfortunately, you know, I'm being honest with you, that's a little bit of a lie. You will for some assignments, you will have to spend time getting to like thinking about an essay or something. Like there's like 2 or 3 writing assignments. I think of it as like an easy distro, in terms of like level on like the CTEX of like, oh, this is a really easy distro. Like those are the classes. Oh, look, Saeed's here. And the let me just finish this question. And then so the homework is really minimal, but there are some of the larger assignments you have to spend 1 to 2 hours on. Um, and but overall, I would think it's generally easier than Northwestern classes, but there are some points that are like, okay, this is a Northwestern class, but it's not like all the time. And if you space it out, it's very, very manageable.
Man, I take responsibility for the lie because the students always said the homework can be done in between classes, but now that the courses are Northwestern courses, I think that has changed totally. The classes are the same, but the students care more. So they homework or you really have to do it. So, but yeah, full responsibility for the lie.
Sai, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's up? My name is Sai. I'm a second year studying at LOC in CESP and psychology in Weinberg. And I had the pleasure of being on the Barcelona study abroad trip with these wonderful people. This summer. And yeah, I really had an awesome experience, and I really love Spanish as well. So if there are any questions that I could like help answer, if y'all haven't answered them.
There are a ton of questions, but I think you joined after they were all entered in the chat. So like the next one is how much do you, oh no, sorry, the next one is, were you able to travel on the weekends? I didn't do a lot of traveling, but I know, Sai, you did.
Yeah, absolutely. The nice thing was that classes were Monday through Thursday. So during the first like 2 weeks, we kind of like stayed in the Barcelona area for the first 2 weekends. But after that, like we had the Madrid trip as a group, and then the other weekends, like I traveled with friends. We all coordinated like plans. Some people on their own like went to like other countries like France. But I tried to stay within Spain, so I took like the high-speed train or flew to different parts of Spain.
Yeah, the other thing I will say is that it's really like you take of it what you will. And so I decided not to travel, but instead tried to explore like the entirety of Barcelona. So one thing that I did on the weekends too was just go out and walk around, and that was a lot of fun experiences too. So if you don't necessarily want to travel, or you think it's kind of too out of your comfort zone, that's what I did. I just kind of hung out. Okay, how much do you think your Spanish skills improved? I would say it's a different kind of improvement than what you would normally do in classes. The kind of improvement here is like honing to like the next level, like the perfection of not making grammar mistakes, thinking before you speak. And it's not so much kind of just like trying to get your point across as being like, how do you actually speak coherently? And this is on the speaking side. On the writing side and the grammar side, it really depends how much knowledge you have when you come in. And you know, wherever level you come in, then you just kind of get taken up to the next level. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
What can you guys tell them what level you were at before you went to Barcelona?
yeah, I was about to talk about that. To clarify, like Steven and I were in the same class. We were in the upper level ones. So like everyone in our class, we all had like a really strong like background in Spanish. I'd taken Spanish 203 last fall. And like I took Spanish from like 1st through 11th grade and AP in 11th grade. So we were all like very proficient at writing and reading and speaking. So in our like grammar class, we were really focusing on some like complex grammar stuff. And in our conversation class, like it was a lot of presentations, like really, and discussions. And I feel like the conversation class understandably improved our Spanish the most because we were articulating like ideas that you might have in an English discussion in Spanish with each other.
Yeah, and it was at first a little bit jarring, because you have to kind of go into it with this perspective of I'm here to kind of, in a sense, get criticized and improve my Spanish. So I know that for at first for me that was like whoa, because you know I thought I kind of knew what I was doing, and then I came to Spain and it was like there's always more that you can improve. So that was a good learning experience. Okay, did you interact with a lot of non-Northwestern students as well? Not, you know, I had the perception that I would interact with more students, and I ended up not. And there's kind of a trade-off there. I know for me, one of the reasons why this program was interesting was because that we're all Northwestern students. So now on campus, like I see people, and it's like we have this shared experience that's like completely like nobody else gets it. Like I had one friend who I kind of knew that before the program, and now when we see each other, like our other friends, they just don't get it. And it's that kind of cool thing that we get to stay in touch because we're still at Northwestern that I really enjoy. And you know, the trade-off with that is then you don't necessarily get to interact with as many, you know, you don't take classes with other students, you just take them with your cohort. But then again, you make these connections that, you know, are like unbreakable in a sense.
Yeah, on that briefly, I would just say that I also like didn't really know what to expect in terms of like who I was going to interact with, but as it turned out, like our 30 kids at Northwestern, like we just all liked hanging out with each other so much that we were kind of like our own little bubble. But even though like we got to know the kids in our class like every single day, we would still hang out with each other like outside of like our class levels or like the same subjects. Like we would go on trips with each other, that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. What is something you wish you knew before going? It's hot. It's really hot. Dress for warm.
And very humid.
And humid, and
So
especially
humid.
when we went to Madrid, holy cow, that was hot.
100
not humid.
degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it wasn't as humid. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's almost better to not know and just kind of be ready for it. Although I would say make sure you spend some time figuring out exactly where you tell the person on the taxi to get off, like when you go to the airport, because that was a little bit of a disaster in terms of like, so just plan some time, know like where on Google Maps or like print it out so you don't have to have cell service or something so that you know exactly where the dorm is so that the taxi can get you from the airport to the dorm. That's probably one thing I wish I did.
I would say like really try to have some like initiative beforehand to really figure out what you want to do like on the trip, like maximize it. Like there's a huge element of spontaneity that was super fun. Like people would just text in our group chat, hey, we're doing this, and we would go. But when it came to like traveling on weekends, like I was able to like say like I want to go to this city and that city and do this and that. But the first week I didn't do that. And so I kind of just like lied around, did nothing. But after that, once I did that, I was like, I started like really hitting those tourist spots that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So
Let's see. Did you speak Spanish outside of class time conversationally? This is, I think, the pinnacle of you get out what you put in. So like Sai and I spent a lot of time speaking Spanish conversationally and having these kind of random conversations in Spanish. But that was because we decided that we were going to do that to kind of commit ourselves to that. And some people didn't. Some people just chose to speak English, which is fine. And so, yeah, for me, it's like, yes, I'd say on the whole, it was probably, if I consider everything, it was probably like 50-50. Maybe that's being generous, but it depends where you are. Like in around class time, we tried to like be in Spanish, but if you're like going out at night, then maybe you just kind of swing back into English. But it's what you make of it.
And in my experience, if I can interrupt, you guys were the only ones who spoke so much Spanish that I couldn't believe it. Other students just switched to English all the time. And you guys learned more than anybody because you did that also. So
you get out what you put in. So I do agree.
yeah, there was like me, Steven, like a couple other kids in our class, like who really like tried to, we would start talking to each other and just be like, hey, let's switch back to Spanish. And then we would do that and stick to it. But like, that wasn't always like, we didn't have to do that all the time. So.
And it's funny because there's like the things you learn in class come up when you speak, and then it's like, ha ha ha, you know, we just learned this.
Correct each other.
And so it reinforces the knowledge that you gain in class. What class year are most of the participants? Wide range.
Yeah, there are a lot of kids in my grade, so we were.
There were a good amount of people who had just finished freshman year, and then there were a good amount of people in my grade who had just finished sophomore year. And there were a fair amount of people. I felt like it was pretty evenly mixed.
There are fewer seniors.
Yeah, it's always really mixed. I'd say last year we had even more seniors than normal because of COVID. So they would have gone a few years before, but didn't have the opportunity. So yeah, but it's always really mixed. I will say though, we will give preference to juniors and seniors because they will have fewer opportunities to go in the future.
Yeah, one of my closest friends on the trip was a senior who had like just graduated essentially. And so that was just different because now she's like working, and so it's just kind of fun. Okay. Did you feel like you had the time or freedom to explore aspects of the city, specific activities on your own? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The time after class is what you make of it. And especially what I really enjoyed was Friday not having class, and then I felt like you had all of Friday to like go somewhere or just do something. Like some things that I would do is I would make this little notes app, plan out some different spots I would want to hit, send it in our group chat, and then 4 people would just randomly join me, and then we just go on an excursion somewhere. And so that was very fun.
Yeah, make a group chat so that you can just be like, hey, who wants to join? People will join.
Yeah. Some of my favorite activities were going to the beach in Sitges, and just that was unparalleled. Now, okay, I'm gonna think about that for the rest of the night. Okay. What was the language development like for intermediate learners in the lower class?
My professor could speak to that better.
I don't know. I among my friends who were like still learning Spanish in the kind of like learning phase, I think they felt a very similar way to us in that it was just like you got to go up to the next level, you know? So it was, in a sense, it wasn't like harder for them versus harder for us. It was just like we were all being pushed to go to the next level and like really improve our Spanish, and use the different structures and incorporate grammar in our writing and make sure there are like no errors and all that stuff. So I would say it's a really similar kind of process of they just want you to go to the next step. Oh yeah, Catalan. Okay, this is interesting. My perspective of Catalan is that like it's everywhere. And it's interesting because it's like on all the street signs and it's everywhere, but the people speak Spanish and Catalan and English. So everyone speaks everything. That was my experience. And so if you know, they're fundamentally different languages, and you know, it's not like, oh, if you know Spanish, you can read Catalan. It's like, no. And same with like listening. So I say like, you know, if you speak to someone, you know, in a restaurant or whatever, and you speak Spanish, they'll respond in Spanish generally, except for that one time profit you were telling us. But yeah, I don't know. The Catalan was not a huge deal kind of for me. Sorry.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of notes on that. Like Catalan, like we got by with Spanish, but a lot of the menus in Barcelona, just like written things, like 90% of written things are in Catalan. So you might have to ask like English menu or Spanish menu or inquire. And then if you travel like near Barcelona, like we went to a city called Girona with a few friends just for fun. Certain parts of like Catalonia like speak primarily Catalan. So that part is actually kind of cool because you go and you speak to people in Spanish. They're like, oh, like we know you're tourists because you came in Spanish instead of Catalan. But yeah, it's not a big deal except for the fact that anything's written, like any train stations, anything, it'll all be in Catalan.
Yeah. But then, you know, when we went to Madrid, it was Spanish. So
right. And for me, they just think I'm anti-independence and I just refuse to speak Catalan, but I'm not from there and I don't speak it. So it's not that I don't like your language or your independence, it's that I can't. Yeah. Even though I understand what you say, I can't say anything in Catalan. So that's, yeah, my story. But yeah, everybody that speaks Catalan speaks Spanish for sure in Barcelona.
Yeah, I think this is a really good question of like, how worthwhile is it based on if you have a strong background in Spanish or not? And I think just because of like our upper level class was 7 people, something like that, 6 or 7 or 8. And so there were 22 other people in varying levels of Spanish, and they all had, I mean, I don't know anyone who did not have an amazing experience. So I think, yes, it's absolutely worthwhile. And I think you will learn about how to like approach Spanish in a very different way than just kind of the standard class at Northwestern or high school or whatever. So I don't know. That's my perspective. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is like it's not even just about like your grammar or speaking ability of like how like academically you're good at Spanish. Even for kids at the lower level, I think a big part was just the confidence that you get. Like you just learn a different way of interacting with people. So it's almost like the whole experience of the study abroad, even in a different language, even if the academic aspect isn't like going to be the same as people who have a stronger background, you just learn like, hey, I can just go up to a stranger and like speak, and it can be a little bit broken, but I know they'll understand what I'm saying, and I just have the confidence to like, take initiative. Like there's this whole sense of like responsibility and independence and like spontaneity that you can cultivate. So that part is really, really like useful.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Stephen.
No, go ahead.
I have one of the students that skipped 2 classes and is taking 125 now, and she did only, I don't know if she did 101 or 115 the first year, so she was after 1 year of Spanish. And I was talking to her the other day and I said, well, I've never taught 125, but I know that the students used to struggle so much. And look at you, you are just unbelievable. So I guess the difference between 101 and now was Barcelona. So I guess she really learned a lot, but I didn't know her Spanish when she was in 101, right? So I don't want to be unfair and celebrate. I can't believe it.
And then question here, the class excursions on like Monday through Thursday after class, our class excursions were on Wednesdays.
Yes. With some exceptions.
Yeah, some exceptions, like there were some Monday things.
Cooking class, yeah.
Yeah, the cooking, that was fun. But they're very, I love the excursions. They were very fun. I feel like if you drop me somewhere in Barcelona, I could use the public transit to get back to where I needed to go. That's my confidence in the public transit.
Not everybody can say that.
Yeah, when we were in groups, I was always following Steven because I was like, I'm gonna go with the group with Steven because then I don't have to use my phone because I'm just like, Steven, where are we? He'd be like,
yeah.
But yeah, for the excursions, every Wednesday we had an excursion, and sprinkled in like throughout the quarter or throughout the program, sorry, there were like a few program dinners like on a different night, like a Sunday night or a Monday night. Those are really delicious. We ate to our fill.
The food. Oh, now I'm gonna think about the food.
And yeah, and then there's that Madrid weekend, so that does take up the weekend. But
no, I think the excursions like inspired you to go out and do stuff yourself. I think that was the big thing for me. Yeah. I love, now I'm going to think about it for the rest of the night and kind of reminisce, and my roommates are going to get annoyed for me talking about it again.
Plus transportation within the city is included. So that's great.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's another big thing is you get this should really be advertised more you get the Metro card, and you can get anywhere with the Metro. And that's what, when I would plan these little like, oh, let's go see these spots, we'd just take the Metro and we'd just figure it out, how to get there. And it was really fun.
Yep.
More
questions. We need more questions.
So I just realized Sai is actually living in the room that I was living in last year. So I was like, I recognize that room because I was living there for a whole year. One other fun thing I will share is, so because I'm in the Beanan School of Music, I wanted to get some kind of musical like experience in Spain. So I actually planned beforehand to have some lessons with a violin professor while in Spain. And so that was very, I learned a lot about like violin, but it was also like very kind of exciting and thrilling to plan this whole Metro to train to bus to walking and then coming back. And it was like this whole 6-hour thing. But the point is that you can add stuff onto it, whether it's on the weekend or whatever, and it'll still be amazing.
Yeah, I think just a big a big thing that I kind of realized like during the program after maybe the first week was I touched on this, just that like sense of initiative, like just trying to like think ahead. Like Steven said, he would have all these bullet points of like these are things we could do. And so like I started doing that and talking to other people, getting ideas from them. And so if you just have a list of like, I have free time, what do I want to do? And you have some sense of direction, like you can really maximize the experiences. Just so you can feel like there's a lot of stuff around me and I know what's out there, rather than feel like, oh, I missed out, I didn't even know that was there, and I passed up on it.
Oh, one other thing too. One of my goals in Spain, completely unrelated to anything, was to learn how to cook. And so that was kind of fun. Because we just had like 2 pans and a pot. And all these ingredients, and like, what's the word for parsley in Spanish? Who knows? But I did do that, and it was really fun. And now I like cooking. So that's another completely random thing that you could do and learn in Spain. Because the little like kitchenettes are actually highly functional. And so that was fun.
Right, and
Please,
groceries are pretty inexpensive, right?
Oh yeah, so
And
much cheaper than
everything is-
Evanston, I'll say that much.
Yeah, and everything is super fresh. And I always tell when I meet with students and they ask me about food, it's like, if you don't know how to cook, you should learn how to make some basic stuff before you go.
Oh,
But yeah, how did you learn how to cook?
so I didn't do that. I was out of the frying pan into the fire, literally. And so I came, yeah, what?
No,
Okay.
sorry, so finish.
Okay. And so I just like looked up, hey, how do you like do chicken? And then I would just look it up and then have the phone there and then just make it with what's in front of me. And it kind of worked, eventually. And then, yeah, like it's good to learn a couple of basic dinners, like learn how to make pasta, but you can also figure it out there, which is what I did.
Yeah.
And please, Sai, tell them about the time we all went to the market and this old lady was telling you how to cook what you were buying.
Yeah, exactly. I had never cooked before, so this was like a huge personal milestone for me. And like we went to the market, bought a bunch of groceries, and I had no idea like how to cook like from the very beginning. So I was asking like one of the grocers, I was like, okay, like step by step, like tell me like you pour the oil, you pour the water, salt, and like I asked her like twice, and then I went in and I had dinner for myself, and I was like, wow, that was amazing. I feel so proud of myself.
Yeah, the old lady telling you, that was amazing.
Yeah.
How often do you have conversations with local people? Yeah, we touched this briefly. It depends. Like I didn't really, like I talked to a few people at like clubs and things. But those conversations were actually mostly in English because people were from who knows where, like Denmark and England and whatever. So I'd say you probably expect that to happen more. But just, I don't know. That was my experience.
Yeah, it really depends on what sorts of situations you put yourself in. So like if it's just like day-to-day stuff, like on getting groceries, like that would be like a short conversation, not like a conversation, just like, I don't know, if you have a question like where is this thing, where is that? But I know that some people like would go to bars like pretty often after class,
Mhm.
and they would like really socialize with a bunch of people, and that can be like, that's really up to you, like how extroverted are you, and like how
Yeah.
willing are you to like speak, like they would speak in English with random people all over the world, or they would speak in with like people like who spoke Spanish. It's very diverse in Barcelona during the summer. There's so many tourists that there's all sorts of languages being spoken. So to summarize, like the conversation with the local people, that's kind of up to you. Like, do you put yourself in those situations, or do you just kind of stick with the Northwestern kids, which is what Stephen and I mostly did?
Yeah. So the rooms are single or double. I was in a single. Sai, you were in a double.
Yeah, it was pretty spacious.
And there were kitchens. Yeah, the doubles are pretty big. And the singles they're not bad at all either. And the kitchens are in each unit. So you each get your own kitchen. Which is kind of nice because you sometimes just want to whip something up and it's nice.
Yeah, each room had a bathroom too, and like on each floor there was like a small little like like common lounge or table thing
Yeah.
where we would sometimes meet up to like do homework or just chat. That's
And in the basement of the building, there's some nice kind of spacious rooms where you can just hang out, and there's a gym that was effective.
There's air conditioning, which is really important.
That's
It's
huge.
Super hot, and not a lot of places in Europe generally have air conditioning. So
No, the AC was really nice.
Vital.
As far as laundry goes, you might have to get creative with that. There are like very few machines for the whole dorm. So what I did, and I think what Steven did, or at least I like went to, they're like specific places that are like laundry. I don't even know what you call them in Spanish. It's like lavaderias.
Lavanderia, yeah.
Lavanderias. Yeah, they just have washing machine, like big washing machines and dryers, and you put in a few euros and do laundry a couple times.
Yep. I actually never had any problems with the laundry. I don't think I do laundry at peak times.
That's the key, right?
So, like Tuesday night, or Tuesday morning, I don't know. But don't do it on a Sunday afternoon or something.
That's what everybody's doing on Sundays, yeah.
So, yep.
Any other questions? So now I think Erica is joining.
Oh my God, it's Erica.
Hi, Erica. Everybody's leaving now, but those who stay, please take advantage of Erica's presence.
Erica, who are you? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I can introduce myself. Hi, I'm Erica. I'm a senior studying journalism and environmental policy, and I also went on the Barcelona summer program last summer with Steve and Steven.
yeah, any other final questions? Also, Erica's going to Argentina in the winter.
You are? What?
Sorry
No
to call
way.
you out, but it's like people can study abroad more than once.
Yeah, you can ask me about whichever one.
Wait, that's crazy.
She's gonna come back saying, sure.
Argentinian accent.
You've seen Vos, and
Oh, vos? Dude, I don't understand vos. How does that?
It's
Vos is different.
Oh, the vosotros? Yeah.
No, Vos and then Vosotros.
No, but I'm saying like
Oh.
in Spain,
Right,
it's
all right.
very prevalent.
Mhm.
And some of us embraced it, Sai, and some of us stuck to our ways. So,
You mean the
and yes,
practice
I am in a practice room. The
all
Beating
right,
School of Music.
any other questions? I might stop recording.